what's up, everybody? My name's Jeff Leeson. Welcome to the Smarketing Show, which I assume means smart marketing. I think they just didn't have enough room on the poster to put smart marketing, so they had to shorten it to Smarketing. That's my guess. But anyways, without further ado, here are your hosts, Cheryl Weedmark and Rick Lambert. I don't know if he's French. Here they are. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Jeff, for that awesome intro. And folks, let me introduce you to Jeff Leeson, one of Canada's top stand-up comedians, professional entertainer, and a great guy, by the way. Jeff, you've done some work for our clients, and the feedback's been overwhelming. I think not enough business leaders right now consider comedy as part of, what's much needed to keep people, upbeat, focused, positive, etc. So thank you for the work you've done with us. And Cheryl, I was really looking forward to having Jeff on today, because I think, as I was saying, like, we've had our clients that bring in comedians or different forms of entertainment. And Jeff, I think you're a hidden gem for folks. So maybe tell us, like, how did you get into comedy? I know you were a sales guy, which you told us you weren't that great at, but I just think you were pretty good. But how'd you get into comedy?
I was not a great salesperson. That's absolutely correct. But that had nothing to do with getting into comedy. No, I actually started when I was 14 in high school. And basically how it started for me was when I was in elementary school, I would come home every day and I would watch comedy at Club 54, followed by Just for Laughs. I was just fascinated with stand-up comedy. I just loved the art form of it. I was enthralled by it. And then in grade 8, I was voted valedictorian of my class, which had zero to do with my academic ability, and mostly because they thought I could give a good speech and might be mildly entertaining. And at the end of that speech, I got a standing ovation. I added some humor in, people laughed. And at the end of it, I was just like, I don't know what that was, but I want to feel that every day. And then I went home the next day. I was watching comedy at Club 54, and I was like, I think this is what I'm looking for. And it started from there. And I was 14. I told my mom this is what I want to do, and she didn't want me to go to a comedy club so young. So we ended up doing our own shows and inviting friends and family and my hockey team and bunch of parents, and did our own shows. And then eventually she let me go do amateur night, and then it was on from there.
I absolutely love that story, Jeff. I think it's so great that you're able to follow your passion. I also think, the story of how you've shifted and adapted to what's happening currently, around the world is fascinating as well. I'm going to talk about that in a second. It's funny how you say, like, it's an art form, and it really is, because everybody has that friend or friends, plural, who think that they're the comedian in the group, right? They think that, oh yeah, I'm going to go and I'm going to go to Yuck Yucks, present company included in that. Everyone always has that friend that thinks that they're so funny, but it's a discipline. It's something that, I think obviously involves talent, but also skill, and something that you've been practicing for a long, long time. How have you been able to take your skill, your talent, your discipline, and adapt it virtually? And you're doing a great job. And I just want you to share with our audience exactly how you've done that.
Yeah. So, when this first happened, like last March, or I guess what seems like 10 years ago now, but I guess it was only last March. I was in California. I'd been living out there for 3 months. My buddy who opens for me, we were on a big American tour. So we were doing all these live shows. When everything got canceled, like, we lost about 80 shows in 2 days, just boom, gone. And so coming from 20 years of touring and doing these live shows, it was very weird for, to just have nothing and not know what was about to happen. I fought a bunch of people, a bunch of comedians I knew started probably about April, started doing comedy over Zoom. And I just was totally against it, to be honest. I think I was mad. I was angry. I was probably sad and a little depressed. It was a very odd time. And so I kind of fought that at first and just thought, like, I don't think it's going to work. I don't see how this is possible. And so after a little bit of time, and as you sort of realize, oh, this is not going to be 2 weeks as they said originally, this is going to be a little longer. I had to sort of realize, like, okay, what do we do here? And so part of my stand-up, like my regular live stand-up, is when I do a show, it's very personal. It's very unique to the audience. I want them to walk away feeling like, wow, that was for us. That was our show. We will never see that again. He didn't do that last night and again tonight, and it won't be done tomorrow. And so I wanted to figure out a way to bring that to the virtual age, and do virtual comedy. And so how I did that was I started doing corporate shows for companies, because I realized, like, a lot of companies, almost every company had to switch to online, do virtual meetings. People started meeting, by Zoom or Teams or whatever it may be, every day. And it was just the same thing over and over again. And I thought, probably these people are going through a similar, thing to me, it not performing, but they're not getting to go to work. They're not around their coworkers. And so how could I utilize my skills and sort of help them take their mind off what's going on? And so I started doing I started with a couple of shows, just with clients I had worked with in the past, doing live shows. And I said, hey, let me take some information, you give me some inside information about the company. If there's anything funny about any clients or any of your employees, I'll create a show just for you, just for your company. And then, I can pop on during your lunch hour call or your end of the week, team meeting, whatever it may be, and perform over Zoom, but make it, again, very personal. And it was just a way to kind of adapt my style to the new virtual age. And they ended up going, in all honesty, way better than I had expected. I just thought, without hearing laughter, because people have to be muted, and a lot of times people don't want to turn their camera on. So without being able to see or hear the audience, I had no idea how that was going to work. And it ended up going really well. And then it just kind of snowballed from there. A lot of companies have multiple offices, so they were able to tell different offices about what I do, and then that's just been what I've been doing pretty much for the last few months.
And Cheryl, you have worked with Jeff in the past in corporate events, and folks, if you're not following Jeff online, like, he will work huge audiences, hundreds of people, small corporate gigs, as he's saying. But Jeff, you did for us, when the pandemic hit, something we call Zoom bloopers, which you made a mockery of what really happens on so many calls, and it was just hilarious. And we've had such positive feedback on that. And I think, again, as I mentioned at the beginning, not enough people think how to inject comedy, inappropriate comedy. I mean, you can go, I'm sure, the full spectrum in terms of corporate talk and, whatever you want to do. If I saw you on doing a bachelor party, which was hilarious as well, but you're able to keep it clean. And I think that's a real skill. So let's say, somebody is having a corporate meeting, because, Cheryl, we're often asked by our clients, hey, we got a big quarterly kickoff, or I've got this. And I think a lot of people think, comedian, what's the connection to business? And what I've seen from your work is you're able to connect the business to the comedy. But if I'm a business person right now thinking, okay, well, how much does this guy cost, or what's a package look like? Like, maybe speak to that, because, again, I people bring in these different, speakers, but at the end, did they really get their bang for the buck? And I think you make people feel good, and it's relevant, your comedy. So maybe speak to what it is you're doing now in this virtual world.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, part of the show for me, I think, is a little bit of team building as well. I mean, I'm not necessarily getting them to do anything, but it is bringing people together. It is talking about them. It's their, it's their work. In many cases, it's what they've been doing for years. So business owners, they've owned that company. So, for me, as an outsider, not knowing much about the company, it's great for me to learn about what they do and go to their website and learn about it, and then come and bring my perspective on what they're doing. And so that's been really cool to kind of bring people together, make them feel like this is a real sort of team building, sort of, together, having some fun together, especially right now, because a lot of people, it hasn't been a fun year at all. So to provide a little bit of that has been great. And because of the budgets are obviously all over the place, and everybody's, had to be a little bit smarter this year. I've been offering half price rates. We try to keep it under $2,000. And that's for everything. That's to create a full show about them. It's a different show every time, and really try to keep it affordable for every size of business as well, because it's one thing to do the big businesses, but there's also some smaller companies as well that could really use a laugh. And so we've tried to really accommodate everybody within our budgets, for sure.
Yeah, I got to ask you this. Sorry, Cheryl. So Jeff, I know Cheryl. She thinks she's funny, and I think I'm kind of funny too. But our viewing audience might think they're funny as well. So as a professional comedian, maybe you could give some coaching on when the layman tell a joke and it doesn't go over very well. Do you have any coaching for those scenarios?
Yes, absolutely. Just stop doing it. No, I'm joking. If something, listen, in comedy, nothing is ever going to hit every time. It's not possible. A professional comedian, somebody who's been doing it for years and years and years, not everything's going to land every time. And there could be a variety of reasons for that. Something you said should go, maybe you said something in the middle of the sentence that should go at the end. People switch up punchlines a lot. People try to get to the funny part quicker, like if you just leave a little bit of time. A lot of times people rush because they want to get to the funny, whatever they're saying, they know it's going to be funny, so they rush to get to it, but they miss the setup, or there's a variety of reasons. My advice to anybody is just keep talking. Don't sit in it. Don't say something, realize it's not funny, and then panic and sit there and go, oh, I don't know what to do. Just try again. In comedy, it's like, do your next bit, do your next joke, just say whatever the next, line is, and don't panic. Panic is really the biggest problem in stand-up. If something doesn't work, if you panic, the audience can sense fear. As soon as they sense that, you've lost them, because now they don't trust you. And then the next thing you say could be the funniest thing ever, but if they don't trust you, they're not going to laugh at that either. So just keep talking.
Now you've done it, Jeff, because now our morning meetings are going to go from 20 minutes to 60 because we have some funny people that work on our team, though, for sure. And I wanted to ask you, as we kind of wrap up the show, my last question is sort of around, generally speaking, the industry. So do you think that everything that's happened has created any kind of shift in the industry? Because it's not just comedians, but it's musicians, it's artists. They've had to figure out a way to adapt in some capacity online. Do you think that that's going to go away? I know you're going to go back to touring this fall, and a lot of artists will, and a lot of comedians will, but do you think that there's always going to be that place now for this, that virtual setting for you guys to be able to hone in on your craft that way?
Yeah, I think it will always be there now, because it's been such a huge part of the last year. So I think people will know that it's there. I think for comedians especially, I can't really talk about musicians or any other kind of live performance, although I'm gonna assume it's gonna be the same way. But for comedians, we need that audience. We need to be back in front of those people. It's the necessity of doing the virtual shows has led to the virtual shows, and it's completely out of necessity to do them. But as far as the artistic side and the feedback side, you need that live audience. So I think as soon as that's a possible thing to do, with nobody, with people being vaccinated, or there's not as much health concern, I think it will go back. Certainly in America right now, they're almost back to fully normal. So I think things will go back quicker there. I know a lot of comedians down there that are they haven't done a Zoom show now in a few months, because they've been able to do small club shows and really kind of work away from that, because it is very tough. The Zoom shows in comedy are extremely tough because you can't hear people laughing. Sometimes you can see them. So I think as soon as it's possible, we will go back. But I do think there will be that virtual side of it. I think where it will mostly come into play is podcasts. I think because most people have some version of a podcast or a show of some kind now, especially as comedians. I think it'll just be a lot easier for them to book guests and book people that, don't live in the same country as them. I think that will stay for much, much longer. But I think as soon as everything's somewhat back to normal, I think for comedy, it'll be right back to, even if it's only 10 people. I think no matter what it is, however many people we can fit in a room, we have to be in front of those people. So,
Well, Jeff, thank you. We look forward to seeing you back on the stage again for sure. We'll definitely have to bring you in and do a roast in our company, because we have some very fun people that would absolutely love that. For more information about all the work that you're doing right now, you can visit jeffleesoncomedy.com is the website. And we'll have you back for sure. Thanks so much for coming on today.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate being here on the Smarketing Show.
Keep up the great work, buddy. I'm a fan of yours, and you make me howl when I see you online. Hey, if you're thinking of a corporate event coming up, Jeff's, I think, got very reasonable rates for what it's worth. And Jeff, I've done 1,000 paid speaking events. You've done, I'm sure, 1,000. And people always are looking for a different kind of twist to their event. And I highly recommend you, having used you for our clients. So thanks again for joining us today, and keep up the great work online.
Thank you, Rick. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
See you next week, everyone.